2005 Chevy Express 2500. I'm going to do rear brake pads and rotors. What you need to do is jack it up and support it, and then remove your rear tires to 22 or 7/8, and then you need to get the caliper off. And it has two. This one has two 17mm head bolts, caliper bolts, that hold it onto the bracket. Okay. Got one here and one right here. One right there and one right here. Okay. Remove those two, and you can remove your caliper. Okay. You can get a flat blade screwdriver in there and just pry it off. Careful not to drop it. What you need to do is just get it out, set it up here, inspect it, make sure the boot's not torn or got any fluid coming out. And also you want to inspect your brake hose at these points right here, and right, this has got this little rubber on there that helps reinforce it, but mainly right here then. See if it's split. Okay, if you don't see no cracks or splits, you're good. Alright, and then next you need to remove is your caliper bracket, and that is held on with two 18mm head bolts, and they are really tight. Okay, you can use an impact on the bottom one or a breaker bar, but on the top one, what I'll do is I'll put my wrench on it and I'll smack it with a hammer to break them loose. You know, put my left hand down here and I'll hit it like that. Okay, it's gonna bounce and hurt your hand, but it'll eventually snap it loose, and then you can remove it. Okay, so then you need to do is remove the bracket, and once you got the bracket off, and you can take your brake rotor off. If it's bonded on there with the rust, then you need to spray with some penetrant and smack it with a hammer. You know, the vibration will release it. Also, the parking brake shoes are behind here, so sometimes they'll have a big rust ridge on the inside and you can't pull it off because of the parking brake shoes, but I'm lucky. Okay, also on your caliper bracket, you need to get your pads off, and you need to get your hardware, your abundant clips off. And this surface inside there, you need to clean that up, get all that rust out of there. You don't want rust in there because rust expands and it will pinch those brake pads and keep them from moving properly. Okay? The same thing with these caliper slides. They got to be loose. If they're frozen, then you need to replace it with a reman. Okay? So what we're going to do is clean these up and paint them. Take our slides out, clean them up, put some new Sil Glide in them. But do not pack this with Sil Glide. You won't be able to push the pins in. Okay? Then you need to get this rotor off. Get the rotor off, you need to clean that hub up, the axle hub. If there's any rust in there, clean it up. This one looks really good, so I'm going to put another fine coat of anti-seize in there before I put my new rotor on. Okay? But you don't want no rust in there, because rust creates high spots and it causes the rotor to go ride like that and give you a vibration. So it's got to be true. Okay? Alright. And you also need to push your pistons in on your calipers. If you don't have the tool, ratchet type, then you got to use the conventional C-clamp with an old pad. You know? Goes in like that. Alright, so I'm going to push the pistons in, clean up my caliper brackets, paint them, and put some new Sil Glide on my slide pins, and I'll see you in a bit. Alright, here's my caliper bracket, nice and cleaned up, and I painted it. All right, and I put new Seal Glide inside there. I didn't pack them full of Seal Glide. I cleaned up the pins and I put all the pins and pushed them in and out a couple times. Put a little bit of anti-seize on my axle. Pushed in my pistons. So next we need to do is go get our rotors, clean them up, get all the shipping oil off of them, and then put the rotors on, and then we'll put our hardware on our caliper bracket after the paint dries. Okay, you got your hardware bundle clips and your caliper brackets. Make sure you got them in there properly, fully seated. Put the caliper bracket in there, get your 2 bolts for it started. And then you want to torque those to 110 foot-pounds, okay? Then you want to put your brake pads in. And the brake pad's got squeakers on them, so you want to put the squeaker towards the rotation of the rotor. So it goes on the top. Inside on the top and the outside on top, okay? Okay, you got that right. Now it's time for your caliper. And be careful when you put your caliper on there, you don't get this line twisted. So just come straight from here and go straight on there, okay? And then put your caliper slide bolts in there, okay? And you want to tighten those to, I think these are 35. I gotta double check. Okay, when you're matching up your pads, match up your old pads to the new pads, okay? Because a tit, no tit, okay? The tit goes on the outside. No tit goes on the inside. Tit's up there. Okay, so if you have these pads backwards, this one on the outside, this one on the inside, piston's gonna hit that. Okay, so make sure you match up your pad. Put the indicator up and this one on the outside. Okay, and also on your caliper, there's a little nub sticking out, okay? So on your slide pins, they got flats. Make sure the flat lines up with those, okay? Top and bottom. Okay, see how that matches up? It's in there. Everything lines up. Your bolts will, both your bolts will start, and you can run them in by finger. And then you need to tighten them up. And then you need to torque them to 35 to 40 foot-pounds, okay? And make sure that your line is not twisted, okay? So there you have it. This is how you do it. So that's now all you got to do is the other side. So when you get the other side done, you put your tires on. You want to torque them to 140 foot-pounds. Lower it down to the ground. Go inside the vehicle. Pump the brake pedal a couple times. Make sure you got a decent firm pedal. So that way when you go to start it and you forget all about your brakes and you go and put it in drive, you don't have no brakes. So make sure you have a good firm pedal before you do put it in drive or reverse, okay? And that's it. If I helped you out, that's awesome. Hopefully you can help me out by subscribing, and I appreciate it. Thank you.